We're here to talk through this interesting Nanro loop variation by Bryce Herdt called clockwise. I'm just going to start at 12 and do some stuff clockwise. It's possible to start over here, but you have to be careful in doing so. You don't make too early a deduction, as I've done sometimes, to put only one and not potentially two sections over here. When you start, we can mark this 2 in for sure. After marking off this square, there's not another region that comes through this. There's a 3 that goes through this group and a 4 that goes through this group. And the no 2 by 2 rule, as well as completing the loop sections, marks these in. Given the center region is a 3, it looks like this 3 o'clock clue is going to be the most useful because we can't have a 3 entering a region. It's going to be another 3. Those would then touch. So this can be marked off, and actually these squares are then unavailable because you can't reach out to be a 3. You actually can also mark this cell off as unavailable. It means the loop's coming to the right. It's still going to the right. If it went up, it would take a section of size 3 right near a section of size 3, so that's no good. So it goes down. But while we are still looking in the space, there are some regions we can't reach into, like these cells. And what I'm really looking at is now some of these curious points, like this 1 cell region, and asking how does that go in the grid. And I think one of the first things to note is it can't go both up and right and take 2 ends into this 3 section. So it's possible to take 1 end in. And we want to ask ourselves, can it take 2 ends in to this other side and dodge this middle 3? And in doing that, you'll see that it immediately would have to turn because it would form almost a 2 by 2 pattern, and this would be an invalid connection. So a deduction that we can say, and I'm not sure of the best way to notate this, but effectively one end will go left or down, the other end will go up or right. So there's effectively, you could almost put in a diagonal that comes into this region. And looking at that more closely, again, seeing that this 1 can't go immediately right because of the size, it also can't go left because we had formed 2 2 by 2 groups and isolated. So what I can do is mark it this way. We still need this loop end to be longer than 1, and if it came straight down, it would close off on itself, so it has to come to the left. And we still have one option of either going right or up here again into this 3. That starts to mark off some other cells. We can't actually come and take this around the 3, and it's good to ask, can I come through the center region and to this bottom right region? And the only way that would work, it's not through this path, it's through this path. But if I did that and I joined an end into this set, it would have to quickly join to this end, and that would also now be 3 long, either this way or this way. And so where I know that I've got an end coming into this 3, the other end is coming up or right from this 3, and it's not coming down here. There's no way this group comes down here. Instead, this end has to come along the bottom of the grid, and it's a different end than this end that also has to come along the bottom of the grid. So we're going to have some loop end crowding we can work through here, and where this is a puzzle that allows some loop ends to touch, like you could in principle have a loop end like this actually has 2 ends that are still going in longer stretches, and so you can force this pattern at least near this 4, where you have to have these cells taken, these cells taken. This is entering a 3 large region, which can't use this cell, or this cell has to take these. That now forces the start of actually what's going on around the center 3. It also puts this end right near this end, and these will have to immediately close to give a 2-unit group. That means down here when we cross this region, we also have a 2-unit group, and that's the only way to cross. This is 4 into this corner, and if we took these 4 into this corner, we would not be able to yet reach to this L tetromino, and taking one more, these would come together. So this is at least 4 coming up. And you can see that if I came up to this cell and down to that cell to join through the center, I'd again have a region. So this is actually 4 straight away going into that L to form a group of size 2. Coming back to the lower left, we've got these 3 cells. If I come up, I put a 4 near a 4, so that's not going to work. So I can come over to here. This cell can't be reached, but if this 4 goes to the left, it's going to have to take at least 4 cells like this end here, and then it's going to close off the loop. So this has to stay away to make the use of these regions work. That might seem that then these ends can diverge, but you can't have the same size loop pieces touching within a region, so this will have to close. And it also now is a size 3 group, so it's going to have issues in these cells touching what's in there, so these close off. We have to have a 1 coming through this edge, and when that enters, it's going to always exit through this edge. I don't know if it's this one or this one, sort of right down or down right. Putting this in, I need to take at least 4 cells, which means I have to go to the left, and I take these. Here again, if I go out to 5, I'm in a corner, so I'd have to go out to 6, but then I join, so this will want to turn at 4. This also turns at 4. We make this connection in, no 2 by 2 box, mark these in. this one we've got to pass straight through, and in these joining we form too large region there. Next thing I guess to see is that even with this too large region, we still really can't easily get into this size. Like we'll never get to this corner, we're not coming here or here and doing more in that space, so these can be marked off. Even like this space can be marked off. So there are ways to get back into the grid, and we do need to get to this L tetromino, but they're going to be through cells like this. I think we'll always have to take this cell to be able to get in and out of this region, otherwise we can't go. So this cell is on, and another cell that's forced to then be on is one here, because we're going to have to enter this region twice. So we have one that's 2 in from the grid, one that's 2 in from the other end, and there'll be a black cell between these, but those will always then require a connection through this cell. And once we see this, we're not going to make a 2x2 box. We're also not going to come in here. So this is going to be a single that connects down and out in some way. And so we'll be able to finish this in as we get a little more progress. But for sure, also in this big region here, we take more than one cell because we're coming off of a 1. So we're not going to be able to come in and take this. Let's maybe work a little more off this 2 as a next stage, and this 2 is near this 1, which is also a cell we're using. So if I came to this cell, I can't come down, and I also can't get 3 into this group, so I can't use this. You can then say, do I just corner here? And based off what we've already put around the middle, this won't work because you'd have to get 3 more in here. So this is also a cell we can't reach. These all around the middle are unreachable. So this is how this loop end in the upper right goes. It again can't come to this cell, and so we can ask, is there any way we exit through here and not through the cell? And I don't see one. If there is, the 3 can't corner back because of the 2x2 rule, so we'll always enter with one of these edges to the cell, and the loop will always look like this and connect through, which means there's another end that's going to come along the top to join to this end, because effectively these have joined here. You can't come in to take another 2 cells in this region, so we get a long clearance here, and then it even sets up now where this loop end and this loop end have to come together. They have to come together through this L tetromino, so it doesn't join here. It also can't join down here because that would terminate too soon. So this 2 has to enter over. This is at least 5 plus 1, 6 long, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually have to make it now 7 long. 8 would be too large, so this comes down and joins. This, where it's exactly 7 over here, will need to be exactly 7 here to come to a group. These get canceled. I can get this to be 7 long if I reach all the way up to here. So that marks this in the grid. It actually forces now the direction of this 3. It finally marks as unusable this cell. This now has to come and take 2, and 2, like the rest of this region, come through here to complete the loop, and we've made our way all the way around the grid. So pretty good challenge. Some places, like even I had done in earlier versions of the solve, where you can jump a little bit ahead on some conclusions. But I think the key interactions were really the center region, how it forces immediately with this 3, a pattern around this part of the loop, how he then gets a section that doesn't want to have a 3 long section to connect in the center. So sort of having a pathway diagonal through the center that takes this cell 1 up or right, 1 down or left, get that to work out, get these loop ends that chase in the bottom, later on get these loop ends that chase at the top, and use some of those deductions together to eventually complete the whole puzzle. So hope you got something from this video and enjoyed this challenge from Bryce, and we'll see you again soon.